Okay, if you haven't had a chance to watch episode 2, A Show of Scrutiny, go do that because I'm going to talk about it. There's going to be a link down there. So, I talked briefly about how I thought this episode had some pacing problems. That's because it was, for the most part, just spent on the characters investigating the weird events that had gone on in the previous episode. I love investigative games. I think they're great, but especially when your mystery is too open-ended, it can lead to the players just floundering, just going off and tracking down anything that looks like a lead, even if it's completely unrelated. If you're running an investigative game, the first thing you need to know is do not give your players red herrings. A red herring is something that looks like a viable lead, but actually just goes nowhere. You see these in mystery books, mystery movies, but in a game, all it does is make the players frustrated. It makes them feel like they wasted their time. Every thing in your investigative game that could be followed up by the players should actually go somewhere. In this episode, they spent an awful lot of time trying to track down information about the man who turned into the zombie in the first episode. They went to his favorite bar. They went to his work. They talked to an NPC that they'd already established a relationship with, who might potentially have some sort of information about him. It's extremely unlikely that the person who turned into the zombie was important. He was effectively a random victim, a bystander. So they spent probably a good hour of the session just following up on this guy. Eventually, Marisha was the one who said, "Hey, look, I don't think this guy is anybody. I think we're barking up the wrong tree."
He climbs back up the ladder to the roof.
I think that following Anand's story isn't necessarily going to lead us here. He seems like a random victim.
And I was relieved when she said that, because I was like, yes, you guys have been wasting an awful lot of time on nothing. And it wasn't even providing an opportunity for quality roleplay. The best thing we got out of it was Caleb chatting with the bartender about romance novels, which, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed that, but it was entirely one-sided. It was advancing Caleb just a little bit. Once they twigged on going to the circus, that's when the investigation really picked up, and I think they actually did that fairly well. They divided themselves up with Ford and Caleb sort of distracting the guards very well, showing off their ability to be the faces of the party, while the rest of the group, much better suited to stealth than we, as far as we know, Ford and Caleb are. They snuck off to talk to the various Carney folk, and ended up getting a decent amount of useful information. Most of it was the various Carneys sort of pointing their suspicions at each other, or rather at their higher ups. But eventually, Jester was able to use a very fortuitous spell that she had in her repertoire, detect evil and good, and actually uncover the perpetrator. The fact that the Devil Toad, and let's be honest, he was called the Devil Toad from the beginning, learned that he was actually a fiend.
There's some untrustworthy intelligence in those lizard eyes of that devil.
I did get a very evil kind of vibe off him.
What do you mean evil kind of
He's a
vibe?
devil.
Well, I mean, he's a
he's
fiend.
He's a what?
The Devil Toad guy. He's a fiend.
That's just a name. It's not actually like a real thing. That's just. I mean, He's well,
You guys know he's a fiend, right?
and in fact is apparently what's behind the rise of these zombies. And I thought that the end of the investigation went very well. It was just that the bulk of their time was spent chasing false leads. If you're running an investigation game, keep in mind the important thing is that you get information into the hands of your players. They can't possibly come to the right answer if they don't have information, and the more time that you spend letting them follow up useless leads, the more frustrated they're going to become, the less interested they're going to be in the final resolution of your mystery. So you, as a game master or dungeon master, you should be looking for any possible way to get useful information into the hands of your players. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to block out, beat by beat, this is where they need to go, this is what they need to do, or who they need to talk to get this particular piece of information. You can improvise. You can go with the flow of their investigation as long as you know what are the important points that I need them to know to move on. And if you know those pieces of information, you can sprinkle them in to any scene that they go to that can be relevant. And you can massage the story if you need to, because remember, they don't know what happened until they learn about it. So if you had an idea of what happened in mind at the beginning, just be comfortable knowing that you can change that as it goes through. If you like running investigation games and you're looking for more advice on how to do it, how to structure them, how to dole out clues, all of that, I recommend the Gumshoe system from Pelgrane Press. There's a series of games that range from horror to science fiction to spy thriller, and they're excellent. The entire system is built to support investigative role-playing games. They're wonderful sources of advice, even if you're not going to run the system, advice on how to structure a mystery, how to give information, and how to make sure that your players have everything that they need to solve it. That's it for this time. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified when I put out new videos, hit the thumbs up, show me you like it, share it around so that other people can see it. And until next time, see ya.